I remember at the hotel, breakfast was always delivered to the apartment by a maid carrying oval metal trays covered with plate warmers because we did not have any kitchen in the apartment. Addie Thomas, who was also called Susie, was a babysitter to me during my very young years to help my mother. The apartment didn't have a washer or a dryer, nor a kitchen. Mom sent all the clothing and the hotel linens to a town laundry service. Our apartment on the third level consisted of 2 large bedrooms, one for my mother and father, one for me, a living room, and a bathroom with tub and shower. In the little bathroom was a small refrigerator, which I remember holding goat's milk during the war years. I played in the backyard and always had a dog for company. I had a pedal car in the backyard that I constantly rode up and around in. There also was my constant desire to explore the stables, which I was always told to stay out of. When I became old enough, I helped wait on tables in the restaurant, clear tables, and help serve the Rotary and the Kiwanis clubs on Tuesdays and Thursdays for their dinners. Also, the Chamber of Commerce met also for dinner on the in the third floor dining room. I became an expert as a bartender, mixing cocktails, as well as a cashier for the restaurant and sleeping room renters for the hotel. I would do the rentals of them. There were 40 sleeping rooms. Occasionally, I helped as a chambermaid and an interior decorator for the rental rooms when maintenance was required, like painting and miscellaneous purchases from J.J. Newberry. My salary was $25 a week. I immediately took my money to the bank and deposited into the Elkton Bank. Let's see. I would walk to Howard Street grade school every day, and then later on to the middle school and finally high school on North Street. On cold days, my dad would give me and other friends like Ann Fink, Christine Frazier, Marianne, Jim, and Hope Nicholson to go to school. There was a barber shop right next to the lobby of the hotel, operated by Charlie Innerlandy. My dad and I would have our hair cut at Charlie's. I played with Charlie's children, Joey, Antoinette, and Lucia, in their apartment building directly across the street from the hotel. I often would go there to play, as well as with Bertha, John, and Nick Pappas right next door. On the North Street side, was Woolman's Newsstand, where I purchased comic books, ice cream cones, magazines. Next to the barbershop was a shoe repair shop, and then Siegmund's Haberdashery, where Bessie and Norton Siegmund operated their father's store. In 1937, I was 3 years old. My mom enrolled me in Edith B. Collins Dancing School. I was in my first recital at 3, but at showtime failed to perform. Too shy. I waited another year before I faced the audience successfully, coming out saying, "Hi, Daddy." I took piano lessons from Edith Collins as well for many years. My mom and dad bought me a piano later on when I showed true promise of practicing. Mrs. Collins urged my parents to enroll me in Baltimore's Peabody Conservatory of Music School, which ultimately happened. I attended these school classes every Saturday for 3 hours of music instruction, followed by an hour of Greek lessons taught by a Greek friend of my parents. Later, I was able to go to the Saturday lessons by train by myself, then take a taxi to my scheduled classes. When I obtained my driver's license, I was making the Saturday trip on my own. Following the lessons, I'd spend the remainder of the day shopping in Hochul Cohn's and Hutzler's department stores, and then I'd walk to Lexington Market for my favorite soft-shell crab sandwich. In 1950, I hosted a formal Sweet 16 dinner dance party. I invited 8 couples. This was held in the formal dining room on the 3rd floor. It was a great success. Right at the moment, I can't give you the names, but I do have them, so we can maybe insert those. Mm-hmm. Okay, as I wrote them down, who they were. I had to check them. Okay, humble beginnings. My dad was born April the 23rd, 1890, in a very small village called Karava on the island of Creta, Greece. Born he was one rather of 10 children. 1 or 2 of them were twins, and he was born to Demetrius and Evangelia Vaggi. They all lived in their communal home on the outskirts of the village. He loved the sea and ultimately joined the Greek Navy for 2 years. Mary Vaggi was born in September 1900. She was one of 7 children, born to Spiros and Anna Gavrilis, in the village of Potamos, Creta, very short distance from my dad's village, but they did not know each other. She and her mother immigrated to this country through Ellis Island in 1906. My dad was not a farmer, but a naval engineer in the Greek Navy. He and Mom wanted to buy some property to supplement their restaurant with home-raised and homegrown vegetables. So they purchased 148 acres just off of the Mason-Dixon line off of Route 40 in Delaware. He learned how to be a farmer by reading farmers' almanacs, farming periodicals, and speaking to his friends who were farmers in the area. The property boasted a beautiful brick farmhouse with a widow's walk on the roof. The bricks were made in the back pond of the property more than 250 years earlier. The house had 6 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a large living room and dining room, 2 kitchens, 3 staircases, a large marble fireplace in the living room, a large screen porch in the front. They remodeled the home to incorporate the latest conveniences, and we moved in. We divided our time between the hotel apartments and the farm. The farm crops were rotated yearly to include corn, wheat, soybeans, oats to feed the livestock. The vegetables grown in our fields were cucumbers, radishes, onions, squash, beans, peppers, tomatoes, carrots, melons, asparagus, lettuce, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and herbs of all kinds grown for the hotel menu. Daily we collected wire baskets full of eggs from the Rhode Island red hens that totaled over 200 of them. My dad would call the animals in from the farm from the fields at the end of the day where they were grazing for feeding time, and it was a sight to behold and watch them as they walked behind each other, headed for the barn, led by the Angus steers. The barn was a 2-floor barn, wonderful shelter for the animals. There were large holding pens for berths as well as stalls for the horses. The animals we raised, as I said, Angus, sheep, pigs, timber-topped turkeys, chickens, pigeons. We boarded 2 or 3 horses each winter, plus my own horse, Mickey Mouse. Mickey was a Christmas gift from my dad just because we both loved horses and the enjoyment of riding and caring for them. I had the responsibility of taking care of Mickey, currying him, feeding him, and exercising him daily. When animals were slaughtered for the hotel, and when that would occur, I would be missing. I could not handle the sight of them being killed. The provision company my dad dealt with for the processing of the meat for the hotel was on Route 40. They would pick up the animal, process the meat according to Dad's various cut requests, and deliver the meat to the hotel's walk-in freezer. I was taught how to operate our Ford tractor so I could help with plowing, cultivating, disking, and the grass cutting, so important on the farm. My Uncle Theodore, my mother's brother, had just been discharged from the Army in 1945 and was seeking a job. He was keen to work on the farm for Mom and Dad, to assist with feeding and maintenance of the animals. He brought with him his 1932 Buick, and that's where I learned how to drive a manual vehicle. Each day I'd load the many dogs into the car, and we would wheel around the apple orchard just for the fun of it. Hay rides in the big wagon, pulled by the tractor, Halloween parties in the barn, the Rotary, Kiwanis, and Chamber of Commerce barbecues, horseback rides for all, and the Buick rides through the apple orchard are memories I'll never forget. I had a wonderful childhood with my experiences that generated a warmth in me about people and animals and how they work in conjunction with each other. I feel truly blessed to have lived my life as it has evolved to this point. Thank you.